Timely, yeah. We'll give it a couple more minutes, and we can make a slow start after that.
Perfect.
Oh. So to those of you who have just joined, there will be, you'll automatically be on mute, but when there are chances to ask questions during the session, we'll let people kind of be unmuted and ask the questions they want to ask. It's just a bit of an easier way to manage the sound. Oh, but I need to definitely unmute. There we go.
Perfect. Yeah, I switched to another laptop because that one was having problems.
Just to be safe.
You know, it's Windows. That's why I don't really like Windows as an operating system, because they keep updating your device without you letting you know. Yeah. And then they just tell, yeah, it will be within a few minutes. Yeah, man, but maybe I'm having a seminar, you know? You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had that a couple of times.
Everything is still fine. You can see the screen and everything, right?
Yeah, screen's up. I think we're probably, we'll give it 1 more minute. We'll give it to 2 minutes past, and then we'll start.
Sure.
Okay, let me just take these in. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us today again for another in the Reframe series. Nice to see, as well as those who have kind of joined us for quite a few of these sessions. There's a few new faces joining us today, so that's really good. As always, I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to resume that, but I'm going to hand over to Tomer and let him do everything. So, Tomer.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here. I hope you're all doing well and staying home and staying safe and everything, and also working out and eating healthy food and everything, because I don't know, for one, I hope that I'm not getting out of this period, you know, much fatter or unhealthier. I also want to keep my mind clean, so I'm always learning, and this is a very good opportunity to do so. And that's why I want to thank Daniel again for giving me the opportunity to teach this webinar, and I want to thank you guys and everyone for being here, because it's so great, you know, to have a community be able to stand even in these times. And I really hope that we all learned something really great today. I always learn from teaching, so I'm really looking forward to your questions as well, and I hope that we'll have a very nice conversation, even though it will be something, you know, like comments. Cool. So let me present myself. My name is Tomer Mozafi. I just finished. I finished last year university at University of Birmingham. I studied business management with marketing, and it was a 3-year course. And throughout my university, that's when I also met Daniel, and we worked on bringing a BEC, you know, from an idea to something that's actually existent. So that's why I thought that it would be so cool to teach you guys something like that, how to bring your idea from an idea stage, you know, something that you just think about, how to bring it from there to an actual prototype, to an actual MVP, something that you can actually present to the market, to your clients. So basically, let me run you through my background. While in university, in the first year of university, I was really keen on starting my own thing, because throughout my childhood I always had took on a lot of passions that I really wanted to, you know, launch and make a legitimate business out of. So I figured that it's the time. So in the first year of university, that's when I started Prodicode, which is my company that basically deals with digital solutions. We mainly focus on artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. But believe me, like until we got to understand the niche that we are really great at, we gave it so many goes and really tried to develop so many products and MVPs and services and hybrids and everything you can imagine until finding out what we're actually good at. So in the first year of university, that's when I started the company. And you know, it can be hectic because when you work and when you also like study, you don't have, you know, the 9-to-5 schedule. You can't put a lot of time just into your company. You have, as you know, exams and everything like that, which can be stressful as it is. So that's why I really was researching methods of developing my ideas quicker and being able to launch them into actual product as quickly as possible, because of course we wanted to monetize as much as we could. So we developed a ton of solutions, and we really had a lot of processes going on with which we found out which are the most effective. So one of the most effective processes is the one I'm gonna talk to you about, which is design sprints. And I'm gonna be showcasing, I'm gonna be giving you examples at each step about one of the things, one of the products that I developed through a design sprint. And I'm talking about the first one that you can see on the screen, and Visualizer. I'm not going to give any spoilers. You're going to find out throughout the presentation what it's about. But basically, we used design sprints to develop this product, and it turned out really, really great. So let me begin. Cool. Well, it's the 5-day sprint, and you might wonder why it's called the 5-day sprint. And that's because it's a very effective way of dividing tasks and operations in order for you and the team to find a problem and launch the prototype effectively, right? Because if you think about it, if you put everything just into 5 days, all of your processes, everything will be very delimited way before you even start working, you know, on your product. We had a lot of problems in, you know, past projects where we developed our product and we still couldn't get a hold of the processes and how we're going to launch it. Do we have customers yet? Are we in the right market? And all of that kind of questions. Does it work? So this should end all of the debates in 5 days. And also it's a very, very good way of involving all of your team, because it's not just about the management. It's not just about the people, the programmers. It's about everyone in your team getting around and brainstorming towards creating an effective solution. So this is a very good technique that is also used by Google. It's used by Slack and other startups. Actually, there's also I think I'll put a link in the Zoom chat afterwards about a book that explains more into design sprints. It's actually a technique that is very, very approached these days. And yeah, I also find that it could be very effective in these times when we're all staying home. Who knows, maybe from Monday to Friday, one of these weeks, some of us can develop, you know, our MVPs from ideas that we don't even know about yet. So let's see how we get there. Cool. Well, there's 5 stages. We're going to start with understand, right? Because this is a very, very important stage. This is a stage where you're going to find the problem. But problem is a very big thing. It's a very big word. We might all think about, you know, big problems, like let's say hunger, right? World hunger. That's a very, very big problem that unfortunately we cannot directly tackle, right? So what we have to do is split that problem into as many small problems that are approachable as we can, and see where we can start. Sorry, guys. Okay. And see where we can start. So let's say I want to tackle world hunger. I'm going to start with tackling hunger in my neighborhood, right? With understanding how I can actually feed people in my neighborhood, how I can help the homeless and so on. Because I might be able to do it, you know, just using a bicycle and preparing some meals, but that will be able, if it's going to be an effective process, I'm going to be able to scale it with a lot of teams in the world and maybe one day solve world hunger. So what we want to do is get a big problem and break it down into smaller problems, right? This is very, very essential for you. It's also, you have to identify a business opportunity and think about your long-term goals, because you want to think, to understand that even though you're tackling, let's say, a small problem, it's part of a bigger thing. So you want to go with, you want to have a vision, right? Let's say, you know what Microsoft's vision was in the beginning? Bill Gates said that he wanted every household to have a Windows device in it, basically. And he didn't start, you know, with selling Windows everywhere and consumer based from the very beginning. He worked with, like Microsoft worked with very large corporations at the very beginning and with companies rather than with people. But that was part of the vision of getting the operating system more and more known to everyone. And until, like, I can't lie, I have 3 devices running Windows in my house. I bet everyone has one. So he pretty much nailed it. So starting small doesn't mean staying small. It sometimes is the best approach to go big, because we don't always have the resources we need to tackle the big thing, the big problem. Okay, so let me tell you about how I understood, you know, what my problem was with N Visualizer. Basically, I told you that we deal with artificial intelligence. So I figured that, okay, I want to make artificial intelligence a very big, you know, term. People get scared by it. I got scared by it when I heard about it. So I found that a big problem is the understanding gap, you know, between this term artificial intelligence and what it's actually about. And you know, what people understand, like it's something that people don't get from the very beginning. So I thought that a big problem, the problem is that people are afraid, they're a bit reticent to artificial intelligence. So I thought that one of the solutions, what I can do, a problem I can tackle, is make artificial intelligence more approachable to people that don't really know anything about it. They don't have any notion about it. To be honest, you know, I haven't been coding for a very long time. I have a business partner which is so good at it. And when he was coding a neural network, you know, artificial intelligence, I couldn't understand anything out of that code. So I was like, I really want to find a way in which I can understand what you're showing me, because I'm sure that it's very smart and we can use it in a lot of ways. So yeah, this is the very first part, is understanding the problem you're dealing with, the large scale, and then breaking it down to small scale. Simply reverse engineer, you know, the big problem. How did we get to the big problem, you know, from the smallest grain of sand that you can address to, that you can approach, because everything is going to later on be a butterfly effect eventually if everything works out. Cool. Well, now we're at the second stage, which is called Diverge, right? It's the second day, it's Tuesday, and this is the place where we all gather around, you know, wherever, in one room, in a chat room like we are now, and we're going to start coming up with the solutions to our problem. You know, everyone in your team should be involved, because Diverge is all about brainstorming and facing the problem creatively. Encourage everyone to think outside the box. You don't have to think, you know, if you're a programmer, as a programmer, it's not only about, you know, one solution that is about programming, or a solution that's about management. We're trying to tackle here a problem that people generally face. So you have to think outside the box. That is basically the divergent thinking, right? You want to come up with as many ideas as you can and sketch them on a whiteboard. Just put everything you want on a whiteboard, you and your team. So that's basically what I did with my team, right? I came up with as many ideas as I can to tackle the problem, to help people understand more about artificial intelligence, to help artificial intelligence be more approachable. We thought about a lot of things. We thought about, you know, we thought about making something like a VR interactive course, you know, that you need VR glasses for. We thought about making some sort of translator for VR, a bunch of things. And we thought also about making a way to visualize how a neural network looks, right? How a brain of an artificial intelligence bot looks, because that would be a very simple way of explaining how the neurons work and how the inputs work. So we had more ideas on the board, and but we didn't think that it's a good idea to choose the solution that day, because it's not. Wednesday is the day for choosing your final solution. Tuesday is all about brainstorming. You don't have to feel pressured into, you know, coming up with that solution, or with even with agreeing on some solutions. You know, you and your team members can have radical solutions to your problem. You can see the problem in so many different ways. But you'll just want to put it on the board, put it wherever you guys are working, and basically wait for Wednesday, right? Sleep on it, because when you sleep on an idea, a lot of times you find that you really understand what you meant by it. And of course, you can just go back Wednesday and modify your initial thoughts. That's no problem. But give yourself time, give yourself some rest, and be patient, because nothing is going to come out, you know, nothing great is going to come out if you hurry too much. This is in a hurry as it is. You know, I'm trying to teach you how to develop an idea in 5 days. So yeah, basically the next stage is Wednesday. It's called Converge, because we're going to take all of these big ideas that we put on the board that are outside the box, and we're going to try to fit one back in the box. We're going to try to bring it back to the problem, right? So out of all of the ideas that you have to basically come up and choose one. I can give you some ideas about how to choose your solution, you know, the winning solution. First of all, as you know, like, democracy is one of the greatest ways to choose it. You can simply vote on it and see what all of your team members agree with. But also a great way to vote on a solution is knowing how effective it is, right? Knowing how approachable it is for you, because it can be a great solution. I can come up with the next Uber, you know, but if I don't have the infrastructure to implement the next Uber, I'm going to fail, and it's going to be ridiculous, and that's a pity. So basically, we want to know that we have that we have the resources we need to activate this solution, right? And that we can, and that is, it won't, the market won't throw the problem back to us, right? That we're not gonna launch something that we can't manage sustainably. So you're gonna choose a solution. You can go back and choose another one afterwards, but a good way to choose a solution is to make a blueprint for your solution, like a storyboard, basically. A simpler way to put this to you, I'll also put a link on Zoom in the comment section. You can search on it on Google, right? You can search it on Google right now. It's called the Business Model Canvas. This is a it's an ideal framework for you to start, you know, sketching your business, sketching the solution that you came up with, because it's a very visual way of I don't know how many of you know about Business Model Canvas, but for those that don't know about it, it's a very good way to start, you know, as an entrepreneur, and to be able to sketch and map your idea in a very good way that you're afterwards able to understand your business plan. You know, instead of writing like 10 pages and, you know, a Word document and getting lost in between the sentences and highlighting things that you think are important, the Business Model Canvas is like an A4 sheet of paper that is on landscape, and it has more parts that address the distribution channels, the resources, the key customers. There's like 9 elements to it, I think. You can go onto it and simply work on this Business Model Canvas. I did it for many of the things that I designed and the projects that I had, and it's a very, very effective way of putting your ideas onto a paper, right? So you want to sketch your solution. I recommend you to do it on a Business Model Canvas. If you have other processes already put in place or other ideas, I can't wait to hear about them also in the comment sections when we're gonna answer questions. Okay, so that's basically what we did. We thought about, you know, we made a flow chart. I didn't put a picture with my Business Model Canvas on here, but yeah, you got the idea. I think if you search for it, you'll understand how it looks and how you can act on it. Okay, basically, the next step is prototype, right? I know that many of you may have ideas that aren't, you know, like a software. It's something that you can prototype real quick, and something that is, you know, just a code that you can launch. Maybe some of you want to open a cafe shop, or you want to open a gaming center, or, you know, anything that's maybe more tangible. Ironically, these days, I don't think you're going to be able to do anything that requires getting out of your house. But you know, I'm just saying that I'm going to be telling you how to develop your prototype, no matter what, in one day, because you're able to, trust me, you're really able to do this. So so Thursday basically is the day that we all stop having fun and really start crunching, because you have to remember that your goal is to create a prototype, right? A minimum viable product, something that works for you and represents the minimum benefit that you are thinking about your solution, that you think your solution will bring as a whole. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to do everything that you thought about. It has to do one thing that can bring direct benefit to that person and see, wow, I want to be on board with these guys. I want to be on board with them, and throughout their updates, gets to, see what their end goal is, because it will be helpful for me. Don't forget how Facebook was in the beginning, right? I don't know how many of you had Facebook in the very, very beginning, but it was basically, it attracted people through their gaming platform, through Zynga, through Cafe World and Farmville and all those things. That's what I used to do on Facebook to start with. And now it's actually showing its true color. It's actually a marketing platform for businesses worldwide, no matter what they are, B2B or B2C, which is amazing. Don't forget how Instagram was in the beginning and what it's now. So, you can think about the first Instagram as a prototype, something that is strictly for editing photos. And then it grew into an actual social community that is about more than nice photos. It's about visual products. That's what I think it's about. And so basically, your priority is to set to get a minimum viable product on the market, one that contains a differentiator and the main benefit you want the user to perceive. The main benefit, of course, it has to differentiate you somehow from the market, from the competitors, because you're always going to get like, isn't what this company is already doing, isn't what these guys want to do. You can say, yeah, it is, but mine is better because it has this on top of everything. It has this approach. And usually a very, very, very good thing to rely on that you know is a differentiator is cutting time, because time is a very, very, very precious resource that everyone has. And usually any solution that you come up with that cuts through time and that solves a problem quicker will be gravely appreciated, no matter, even if it's more complicated. The simple fact that it's a shortcut for people will really differentiate you from others, right? We can have like a very simple network for video streaming, but it's laggy and it takes a lot of time to load and so on. But you can have a more complicated one, an enterprise one, like Zoom for enterprise is a bit more complicated, but it's very reliable. And you can get onto meetings like that. Like I logged onto this meeting like 15 minutes before with no problem. My laptop crashed, but it's my laptop. It's not Zoom's fault. So yeah, where was I? So let me tell you about our experience with this, right? With prototyping. For us, after hours of coding, we came up with a logo for this, for creating something that visualizes AI, neural networks. We came up with a logo, we came up with the code, we made a very, very basic and simple form. This is the logo. This is the board. It's called Trello. It's a project management board, which is very, very good for sharing ideas, sharing documents, and also having processes. You can move one thing from a place to another. You can really, really work in a very, very simple and tidy manner, without having drives and links and more documents and tabs. You can have everything on Trello. So it's spelled Trello. And it's a project management solution, and it's very good. I always use it with my teammates, especially now that we can't be physically in the same room. This is just like a giant whiteboard that you can plan things on. So we made a very, very simple thing to begin with, right? Which is this. This is what you're looking at here is a brain, a neural network of an artificial intelligence agent, a bot. And what you can see on the left side is the code, right? You can't understand anything from that code, probably if you don't deal with artificial intelligence or don't know Python programming language. But if you look on the right side, that translates the code into the neural network, and you can see you can see how many inputs there are, that how many layers the neural network has, and so you can understand from the very beginning how complicated it is. And this neural network particularly isn't that complicated because it doesn't have that many nodes, it doesn't have that many inputs, and it only has one output. So it can be something like image processing. Of course, this was our MVP, so it wasn't supposed to show everything that code did. It was simply supposed to show you that, hey, in this way, I think that we can find a solution to visualize something that's a bit more, hard to understand and to approach into something that's more, that's nicer to look at and that can maybe look more interesting to you. Because when I saw this, when I saw how the neural network actually looked, it amazed me and attracted me even more into artificial intelligence because for those that know a bit of neuroscience, this is amazingly similar. It really resembles the human neural network. So it looks like our brain. This is how our brain transmits through synapses a lot of data from a lot of inputs to one output, which can be a word that you say, an intention that you have, right? So this was very interesting for me to see, wow, this is actually like more alive than I thought, So it was a really, really good thing to start with. And you can see it's simple, like there's no text apart from input layer and output layer. Of course, we added other things as the time passed, because I told you that you will have to add things. This is just the MVP. But we were happy with our MVP. So it was time for our next stage, which is, of course, test. It's Friday, guys, and we're gonna start testing now, because this is the most important part for you to see that your MVP delivers the benefit that you set out to be delivered, right? You want to consult with your potential customers. You want to look for patterns in their feedback. And let me tell you who your potential customers are. They can be your mom, your dad, your friends, your family, your everyone, anyone. For us, in our scenario, unfortunately, my mom doesn't really get around the subject of artificial intelligence, and she wasn't the audience that I needed. So I realized that, and so what I did was launch it online. We really have to take advantage of the fact that we have so many social platforms and that we can go to so many places like Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, everywhere. You can post anything you want everywhere. And out of those thousands of friends and people that we have there, and maybe you can even boost your thing to reach tens of thousands of people, you will find people that address your solution, And even if they don't like it, they will say something nasty, or they will say something that is gonna move your solution from what it is to what you actually want it to be. So you want to always iterate, right? Iterate. So basically look for patterns in feedback and then learn and repatch and do so non-stop. Because let me tell you the truth, Friday never ends. Friday will never end. Because you can look at the market and you don't see, even if you look, I'll go back to Facebook, right? They're always iterating, they're always updating their social platform, even though they're the greatest and they virtually have no competition because WhatsApp belongs to them and Instagram belongs to them. They still are always getting into more and more ways to bringing, the solution to packaging it in a nicer way day by day. Like, I don't know if you saw, but Facebook launched something like Facebook Beta. I'm actually using that dashboard because it's much nicer than the classical Facebook. I think you can access it from settings where you log out from. You can access Facebook Beta, which is very nice. So it's basically an update that they did and a repatch of the Facebook interface that is much nicer, much friendlier, and it has the same functionalities, but it's simply nicer. So you will want to iterate non-stop. What we did, basically, how we tested, we put our thing on GitHub, right? Because it has to do with coding. As you know, GitHub is a very large coding community where you can share open source projects. Oh, also very important to mention, I didn't design my solution in the very beginning to make money out of it necessarily, but more to test how reliable it is and how reliable this design process is, right? So I wanted to get it out there as quickly as possible. Also, I knew that this kind of things, if I create something open source, something that is for everyone, it will attract a lot of notoriety for my company, and I'll be able to be known as the guy that made this possible. You know, like you don't always you can also give people without expecting, because believe me, things are gonna return very nicely to you. So I put it on GitHub, the solution on GitHub. We wrote the documentation and everything. Then we put it on Reddit, and we were very, very surprised to see how many people reacted to it on Reddit. I had no expectation, to be honest. I don't even use Reddit that much, so it's not like I know that it's a booming community. And I know that it's booming and it's big, but I didn't know what to expect, especially from this kind of a subject. You know, it's not like a meme or anything. So basically, we got a lot of comments in our GitHub section where people can say what problems the software runs. So we were always looking at the problem and at the patterns, and we were always repatching and rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding, and well, building on top of it, not rebuilding everything, like, you know, layers and layers and layers, until we got to make something that is so great that I'm really happy that so many people found it, you know, found it helpful for them. Within not even 1 week, we got to be, this was happening, I think, last, 1 year ago in March. And we got to be number 5 on GitHub trending on the artificial intelligence thread, which was wow for us. Like, we didn't really take anything as seriously until then, when we saw these results coming. And we had like 900 and something stars, which on GitHub, as I understand, is like a lot. And now we have like, I don't know, 1,000 and something. Like, people actually reacted to it. They liked it. They liked visualizing something that was code into something that is not. And you know what we found? That our audience, this is a place where you find exactly what people your solution addresses to, right? Because until we launched it, we thought, oh, this is going to be a great business tool for teams to cooperate, and let's say for the IT engineer to show this to his to the manager that has no understanding, no knowledge of artificial intelligence, and that manager will be able to visualize that code and, you know, connect more with the programmer. But actually, this tool was gravely used by people that are doing tutorials on neural networks and artificial intelligence on YouTube. So I found a lot of videos with, you know, my AI visualizer that was there and that was helping people teach AI to other people. So I found that we created a tool that is actually a teaching tool, a very great tool for people to get introduced into this subject. And I was really, really happy that we were able to do that. We also got to be, you know, on a lot of articles in a lot of languages, which I can't even read, which gave me the understanding that it really went worldwide, and that we maximized our scope. And it gave us a great feeling. And from then on, we iterated more and more until we developed another version of this solution, until we said that it's enough, we got what we want from it. Later on, Google bought a company called TensorFlow, and they developed a visualizer for everyone listening that is maybe dealing with artificial intelligence and coding. Google actually designed something very nice with TensorFlow that is a visualizer and a visual editor for code. So basically, you can edit also those things that I just showed you, those neural knots. You can edit them. With my software, you can just visualize them. So, but that happened only after we made ours. So we were kind of the first on the market to do that, which might be lucky, but it's also research, I'm telling you. Like, we really researched what we can do out there, because this is a small thing. We could have gone with a big thing, like, let's create a neural network that, I don't know, cuts my toenails, I don't know, something that's more tangible. And, you know, but we actually developed something that is very niched, and you might not even see the benefit in the very beginning. You might see the benefit only if you're maybe teaching people about neural networks, but it can be enough. I'm telling you, it can be enough. So these are actually the 5 stages that you go through. And also something else that I don't want to forget about. So your MVP, I want to insist on how you can differentiate your MVP greatly from other people. So there's mainly 3 strategies that you can approach. You can be a cost, you can take the cost leadership strategy. Basically, you can make a product that you know is one of the cheapest out there on the market, is the most accessible to people. They can really get it from you because, I don't know, your drink, your beer is costs half, or not even close to what your competitor's beer costs, and it's on the same niche, on the same kind of tastes. You are basically going towards the same audience. So cost leadership is one good technique, right? One other technique is differentiation, technological differentiation, which basically means that you have to simply bring an innovation into the market, something that doesn't exist anymore. This is very hard to do. So you might not be able to achieve this from the very beginning. You might want to go, with first with being cheap, and then getting enough people and enough capital to develop that thing that you wanted to differentiate you from others greatly, like Facebook did and like other giants did. Like they didn't really differentiate in the very beginning from other things. There were a lot of gaming platforms that you could use, not only Facebook. It was high five. There were more social networks. If you look at Facebook now, it's very differentiated from anything that existed prior to it, which is what they actually were envisioning from the very beginning. And another very good one is information holding, right? This is a bit weird because basically you can think that people can't achieve the thing that you want to do without your help, right? They can't achieve it by themselves. Let's say that you want to repair your air conditioner, right? You don't know how to repair your own air conditioning, so the guy that is going to repair the air conditioning for you can basically price it as much as he wants. As well, he has to be realistic and know how many repair people there are for ACs, and what the market is and what the asking price is usually. But if there's not that many people that can repair it and you don't know how to repair it, that person can basically ask you as much as he wants to, because you're really, really going to need it repaired. So you either learn how to do it or pay the person or the company to deal with your problem. So if you think that you're solving a problem that is very, very, very valuable for people and that they don't take the time to do it, you can actually really charge a lot for it. And that you can simply be differentiated because you're the one that solves the problem like no one does. Okay, so before moving on, I have one more slide that I think is really going to be helpful for you. You know what? I'll approach it and then we can ask questions, because I don't want to stretch it too much. So for everyone out there thinking about, okay, well, this is great if I have an idea and I want to, get it to be a prototype. But what if you don't have an idea? What if you don't even know what your business aspirations are, or what you want to do, and you feel pressured, with maybe generating revenue, and from that revenue, gathering enough money to then focus on what you actually love doing. Well, that rarely happens to people. And when people usually go into something for the money, it's very hard to get out, because that's the thing that you're fighting for. It's very hard to get back to your passions and start to believe again in your passions, because that's something that a lot of us lose even before we go to uni, like when we're kids. So I want to share with you something that is called the value cycle, right? It's a way in which you can basically create universal value. And how I define universal value, I think that it's an activity that brings you satisfaction and it brings others satisfaction in the same time, right? So this is very important, and it's a bit harder to achieve than you'd think. There's a lot of people, let's say, that they're employed at a job that they don't really like, right? They have their 9 to 5, they know that they're gonna get their wage, which is gonna help them achieve whatever they want. From 9 to 5, they're being really, really valuable to other people, offering their services. But they're not being valuable to themselves. They're not fully satisfied. They're still waiting for that break, still waiting for that pint after the job, And then when they get the money, their wage, they invest it in what brings them satisfaction. but then those things don't bring simultaneous satisfaction to the people that, you know, they dealt with throughout the day from 9 to 5. So what you end up doing is basically dividing, halvening the time that you are happy throughout the day and throughout your life, and the time that you can give satisfactions to others as well. While universal value is a way of making something, you know, an activity that will bring you happiness and others at the same time. So let's say that you don't know what make this is kind of a philosophical discussion, and I really want to end it this way because, you know, I showed you a lot of things about neural networks and the steps, but I really wanted I want to get, you know, your passion pumping. So I think that if you don't know what you really like and what you're really passionate about, it's like a paradox, because it's like me asking you to think about a new color. You can't think about something that you like if you don't already like it, if you don't already know it, right? If you don't have a favorite color, it means you haven't seen enough colors. You simply have to do a lot of research and development on yourself. You have to go out there and try as many new things as possible. And eventually you'll find something that you really, really like and you're passionate about. And also, if you try to do only what you like and only the best you can, you'll find what you really like about that activity, right? Do you, let's say, yeah, I have, let's say I have a trampoline right in my garden. I like jumping around on it, but I don't love doing it, because loving to do it would mean putting a lot of time into it and maybe, you know, learning to do more than a backflip and basically being a gymnast. Maybe that would not be something that I love. So I know for a fact that I'm not going to invest a lot of time into that. So you have to really research a lot and find the thing that brings you satisfaction. You really need to be courageous, because you don't have to think about others necessarily. Think about yourself and if it brings you satisfaction. Because if you think about it philosophically as well, Aristotle, he said that we are social beings, which means that it's impossible for one of us not to have something in common with another on something, no matter how bizarre that thing is, no matter how out of this world that thing is, you'll still have that in common with somebody, right? So the first step is trying to do that as good as you can and better yourself in every instance. So focus yourself on that activity and better yourself. Then, if you are really good at it, you want to promote it, right? As I said, through social networks, so on. This really relates to the design sprint I was telling you about as well. So you want to basically share your idea with as many people as possible, because only then you will find your audience and the people that like what you do. They're the ones that will react, you know, even if it's like 5 people online, they will still react to what you're doing. And simply giving them satisfaction through an activity that gives you satisfaction, I'm telling you, you'll feel great with it. And no matter that you might not make a lot of money in the beginning, but creating satisfaction to other people, this is where people trade money for happiness, right? That's why I buy Coke, I don't buy Pepsi, because I like something very specific about what Coke give me in their taste. It can be, you know, so marginal, such a small difference that someone that drinks for the first time Pepsi and Coke might not even tell the difference. But drinking repeatedly something, so if you repeatedly show things to people and you really are focused on that specific thing, people will get your message and you will start differentiating people one from another, and you will start to understand who your real audience is. Because believe me, there is someone out there that really would enjoy what you would really enjoy. So this is the place where people will start trading their money for simply having satisfaction. So you'll start making money. And this is the step. You can see I made also a diagram over there in the right hand. So you can then simply reinvest in what you love to maximize the scope, right? To further to simply promote your idea more on a social network and reach more people and broaden your audience, and then you make more money and so on. It's simply a cycle. Or you can pivot. It can be a one-time gig. You can pivot into something else that you'd like doing. You can say that I basically need to make a bit of money from this direction, which I really like, in order to pump something that I know will really do great for me. Because your revenue will only be proportional to how many people you impact. So the more people are satisfied from the activity that you are satisfied from, the more money you will make. This is, of course, this is logical. Like you already know this stuff. I'm just putting it out there. So let me give you a very, very short example about how I did this. Way before I even went to university, way before I even learned business methodology or anything about that. I was 16 and I was having a hard time with earning money and with having money and, you know, with basically living in a proper way. So, and I really, really enjoyed playing guitar, playing drums, piano, and so on. So what I did was I really focused on that a lot. And I really got good at it until the point where I got the courage to put an announcement over the internet and say that I'm willing to teach people how to play guitar. Of course, there's a lot of people that also have that passion in common with me. They like playing guitar as well. So they were like, okay, yeah, sure, teach me guitar. So I taught them guitar and I got better and better. And and then I announced more and more. And my audience grew until I had, like, at some point I was teaching like 15 kids every week how to play guitar. And at that point, I even thought about, okay, why don't I make a music camp, right? Because I already have like 15 kids. If I gather 5 more, I have 20 kids, which I can really teach music throughout, you know, something more rigorous rather than an hour of teaching. And that, like, reinvesting and following this cycle helped me so much that I really made that music camp and it was a great success. Just to give you a figure, like, I wasn't even thinking about money. That's what I'm saying. I was thinking about doing something that I was so happy about it. I was not stressed because, you know, it's just like with uni. You have tests, you have a lot of things. You don't want to break your mind with things that you don't enjoy. After all, you're doing a lot of things that you were forced to do throughout uni in a lot of modules you might not really like, but you know that knowledge is necessary. So just do what you like. And this camp that I made, I didn't even think about the money. I thought only about delivering the value to the kids and to the parents as well. You know, they have to see that their kids learn how to play. And in 5 days, we earned like 2.5K, which I'm from Romania, and in Romania, that's that's a lot of money. So I was really, really glad with it. And I understood that if I believe more in the thing that I like, I'm able to do greatly with it. And I will be able to also make money out of it and feel good at the same time without thinking about, wow, okay, I worked a lot. Now I want to relax and do what I like. No, because working on that thing was what I liked. So yeah, that was my presentation. Thanks very much. I really, really hope you liked it. And yeah, let's see some questions. I really am keen on answering. I can't hear anything. I've been hearing myself for 1 hour, so I'm really enthusiastic about finding anything out from you.
Sure. If anybody has any questions for Tomer, then please just let us know in the chat, and I'll unmute you so that you can ask your question. If you don't want to speak, you're more than welcome also to just type the question, and we can take a look. Shrizan, let me just unmute you. Okay, take it away.
Hey, Tomer.
Hey, man. Hey.
Yeah, that was a really good presentation, and you covered a lot of it regarding to starting a lean startup and getting things up and running. Now, one of the main questions I wanted to kind of ask you was, when you are creating a product that is not in a sense something that can be targeted at a very small specific group, like for example with you had a neural network system, so you know exactly where you should be putting it up there, and the very last step of your process was to launch it. Now, you knew exactly where to launch it, but a lot of us, we have ideas and this thing that is more diverse, and the launch process is a lot more difficult for us. What would you suggest there?
Would you be comfortable with sharing, you know, a bit more details? Do you have anything you're thinking about?
Yeah, I have a business. It's called Work Simpler. It's live right now, and we were initially setting up. I've sent you a LinkedIn message so we can chat later about it.
Oh, great, great.
So basically what we started was we created a product last year, and we launched at a talk that I did, and it was about the gig working economy, and that's what we focused on. And we started, we launched the product, and we got about 70 people, and we got the iterations and everything done after that. And now we have a new product, but the launch process is something that I still can't get my head around. So, like in terms for you, you had a platform, for example, GitHub, where you could put something on there, and that's where people go to get information on code, etc. So what would you suggest when it's something a lot more diverse, like for example gig economy? Like what would you do there?
Basically, I'd really concentrate on the benefit that I'm trying to deliver. Let's say that you're trying to deliver a software that is able to, to solve this problem for people, but don't forget why you're creating that software. You're not creating that software for the sake of creating a software, but for the sake of solving a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd niche myself to a very, very small number of customers that I know I can address, and I can actually do that work manually for them in order to earn their trust and to get the word of mouth going,
Okay.
Because let's say that let's say you have a platform like Uber, right? That doesn't work unless you have like thousands of drivers and thousands of people that want to get around, like it wouldn't work with only 5 drivers. It wouldn't. You have to go big or don't go at all.
Exactly, yeah.
So what you actually have to do is test as locally as possible. If you're not local because you're talking about the gig economy, you can still resume to like a smaller niche of clients and maybe not solve their solution through the platform that you're building, because that platform might require a lot of people on it, right?
Okay.
Try to solve it by yourself through emails, through anything, just deliver that value to them, get enough capital to be able to
market.
boost it, market it to the place you want. It doesn't mean that you have to wait until it gets to the scale you think that it has to get to, because don't forget, you're solving problems for individuals. So as long as you help one individual, as it is, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It's just that this whole pandemic situation has made it quite difficult, and so hopefully it all comes down soon, and then we can actually get back to work. But thank you so much. I hope to connect with you soon. And
I hope my answer was helpful.
It was
man. We can talk more about that.
Brilliant, man. Thank you so much.
Cool. My pleasure.
Okay, so the next question, I think Jamal has got a question. Let me just. There we go, Jamal.
Hi everyone. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. A couple of questions, if I may ask. Like, when you say that you built an MVP.
Can you please get closer to the mic? I'm having.
Yeah. When you say that you've built out an MVP and you start testing it with people, how many, like, what is the critical mass? You just said with Uber you need to have thousands of drivers to make sure that your MVP is working. What is the critical mass that you need to hit to make sure that you are going into the right direction? That's number one. Number two, with how many feedbacks out of 100 will be okay to say that I'm going to expand my service or to expand my product? Number three, when you said that you were trying with your guitar thing, how did people know about you? Where did you put your poster? Or
can you come again with number three? I couldn't hear that.
I said when you advertise for your audience with regards to the guitar thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello?
Ad over Facebook or Instagram.
We can't quite hear you.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm saying when you advertise for people for the guitar lessons, how did you make sure that people are actually subscribing? Did you have a Facebook post, an Instagram post, or what actually did you do in order to let people know that you are there, and how or why would they trust you? Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the questions. So basically, I'm sorry about this, but could you please repeat the first question, because I get it mixed up with the second one.
Okay, so the first question was when you said with Uber, the example of Uber for the previous question. What is the critical mass? How can you test with a large number of drivers?
You said something up here. They didn't need a critical mass for their MVP to prove their value. Like the value of the app, you can prove it in a demo, with virtual drivers and virtual people that want to take the cab, and you can show people how well that network is working, right? To your investors or whoever you are trying to pitch it to your clients, So I don't think it's about a critical mass as much as it is about knowing that at least one person, like it's really important that at least one person really gets what you're doing, understands your value, and not after you are explaining it for half an hour already. Like the person understands the value from the product itself, from the MVP itself. So I think that you need to try could you tell me, like, do you have an idea, something that you're actually, thinking about?
Yes, well, we are working on something that is related.
Something that's what?
A career development for grads, like people who are just graduating in the technical field. So we are thinking of finding a way out for them to have master classes from world-class experts in engineering domains.
That's cool. Well, help one person out, help one grad out, like help him get to where he wants to be, through your process. You don't have to personalize, to tailor it, And I'm sure that this answers also to your third question, with the guitar thing. Like in the beginning, I had one customer and only one. So out of what I emailed everywhere and put on the internet and on my Facebook, which was simply I want to teach guitar. I have this much experience. I can teach these styles. Out of maybe hundreds of people that saw that, only one had the courage and willingness to come and actually give it a try, see if I'm trustworthy. And because I told you, like, I really enjoyed doing it a lot, and I think that I did a good job at teaching, that person furthered and brought more clients in through word of mouth. Like, I actually got calls that, like, hey, I heard about you from that person, and I'd really like to learn guitar as well. So I think that as long as you create individual value for someone, through your process, everything will just follow, because we like talking to others about things that made our day better.
Right. And then out of 100 people, because that's usually what they say is the right question, is the right number of people that you ask. So if you get 20%, is that a go sign?
Yeah. Of course. If that's what I'm saying. If you get even 1%, if even one person, out of the 100 people really gets you, then it's a go sign. Who knows? Maybe your solution isn't fitted to a local market. Maybe it's a global market. Maybe 1 out of 100 grads are gonna appreciate your solution, locally, and then you're gonna have tens of thousands of grads that actually work with you, but worldwide and very, very dispersed. So that's what I think. And also, don't forget, like, all that feedback, bring it back to the product and iterate and make it better, like to suit basically the exact needs of those customers. That's when numbers count, because when one person says, "Oh, I think that would be greater in this way," it doesn't count as much as if 5 people would tell you. I think all 5 people would tell you something about this would be greater this way. Okay, so that's when numbers count.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Happy to answer your question.
I have one more.
Yeah, sure.
So when I ask someone to develop an app for me, how can I make sure that the app can withstand all the demand? Let's say
Did they what? Sorry.
When I ask someone to develop an app, how can I make sure that the app can?
So you keep cutting out on the second part. When you ask somebody to develop an app.
Yeah.
And then what's the second part?
How can I make sure that the app can withstand all the demand?
We still it kind of cuts in and out.
Let me text it over the chat. That would be better.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
If there are any more questions, of course, text them, or
just let us know.
Daniel can unmute you. I'll be really, really happy to answer. I know that this is like a 1-hour webinar, but I'm more than happy to stay over as much as you feel is necessary. Like, it's really a pleasure.
Yeah. If you just let us know, and we can unmute you if you've got any questions. Jamal's put his question there. So when I ask somebody to develop an app for me, how can I make sure that the app can withstand the demand of what? OT? Okay, so this is more of a question about, I guess, scale and how you can make sure your app can handle the capacity as it increases.
Okay. So can you repeat the question, Matthew? Daniel?
So when I ask somebody to develop an app for me, how can I make sure the app can withstand the demand? Let's say 1 million customers start using it at the same time, and the developer made it for 100,000 at a time. This
rarely happens. It really rarely happens. And because you know, a boom like that is something that we all wish for. Maybe that happens, let's say, that usually happens to stores on Black Friday. You know, like they get so much traffic that they can't handle. But for that, I'll give you a more technical solution. There's something, you know, cloud services, right? Amazon Web Services from Amazon. It's a cloud service that basically lets you handle your website or your app or whatever on their servers, and their servers are scalable. So if you get, and also your payment is scalable. So if you get only 1 person on your server or 10 people on your server that month, you'll be paying the amount of usage for 10 people. If you let's say one night, I don't know why, you get 1 million people, your servers won't crash. They'll simply scale, okay? So usually what makes an app not hold is not the front end. It can be the same, you know, graphic design. It's simply the backend infrastructure, the servers, they're not able to withstand the widthband that is solicited. So cloud services are very good. Amazon Web Servers, Google Box, and there's a ton of them.
I hope that answers the question. Anybody else with any questions? We'll just give it a sec in case anybody's typing away. If anybody wanted to ask you a question after this, what's the best way to get in touch, Tomer?
The best way to get in touch, well, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is my email. That's my website, and that's my LinkedIn. And yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to answer any question and anything, and talk to anyone, you know, in private if you don't feel comfortable asking now, or if it's more than a question, if it's more of like a conversation, I'll be more than happy to, you know, we have time to talk about anything these days now. I'm just staying home and trying to come up with cool things. So I'm sure you all have really cool things you think about.
That's awesome. Just giving it another minute just in case anybody's typing.
Sure.
Whilst we do that, I'd like to say a massive thank you for doing that. That was really interesting. Especially as you said, that the value part at the end, I think is so important. It's something that you've got to always have in mind throughout that whole journey. Yeah, exactly. You're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for yourself, because in the very end, even if you're making a lot of money out of something that is not that satisfactory for you, you'll still buy things for your satisfaction. It's all about being satisfied. That's why you can see a lot of people that are simply so happy with their life with doing something so small, and other people that may earn 10 grand a month and they're miserable, you know? Yeah. It's really not about the money. Yeah. And I think there is ways of both, you know, but it depends.
Yeah, again, exactly. You can make a lot of, if you don't think about the money, you think about the value, you'll be able to make a lot of money, of course. Like personally, just to tell you guys, that's why I got into IT, because I thought about, well, I like coding, I like doing this, and I think that it can impact a lot of people. It's one of the most international languages spoken, like it's more international than Chinese and English and anything, you know. Everyone speaks code, even without speaking code. We're using it right now. So I figured that if I do it really well, and if I really deliver value, I will be able to, you know, bring other people satisfaction. Oh, and of course, this brings up money, you know, of course. And the more people you satisfy, the more money you're going to bring. Look at Facebook, right? They thought about, I'm always giving Facebook as an example, but really, they thought about the most common thing we have is social interaction. That's what we really cherish. That satisfies us. We like sharing things and getting things and knowing things. So they created something where we can all do that. And look at his net worth, right? Because he really created something that you're doing for yourself. You don't feel it's work. You don't feel as anything. We use it day by day. Yeah, no, completely agree.
So we haven't had any new questions in, so I'm assuming everybody is
Okay.
either no questions or we'll get in touch with you after. Yeah. So to those of you still left in here, I know a few people have shut off now. Thank you very much. We've got a couple more sessions coming up next week, so you can have a look at them through the usual methods. Thank you again to Tomer.
Thank you as well. Thank you. What a pleasure.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.